Ah, finally, the anomaly reveals itself. Look who caught the attention of the alphabet agencies. You beautiful, terrifying anomaly, you psychological architect of chaos. They've been watching you, haven't they? Not with regular surveillance, not with street cameras or phone taps. No, they've been studying something far more interesting. The way you dismantled your enemies without lifting a finger. The CIA has files on millions of people, drug dealers, terrorists, foreign spies, cyber criminals. But your file? Your file has a different classification altogether. Psychological asset. Approach with extreme caution. Because what you did to those who betrayed you wasn't just revenge. It was art. It was surgery, performed with words and silence. Let me tell you what happened 3 months ago in that conference room in Langley. 7 senior analysts sitting around a table, your digital footprint projected on the wall. They weren't looking at your posts or your pictures. They were analyzing the aftermath, the psychological craters you left in people who thought they could cross you. And one analyst, the one who'd seen combat in 3 different wars, he leaned back and whispered, "This isn't civilian behavior. This is special ops without the ops." They pulled up case study after case study. That ex who tried to destroy your reputation? They tracked their social media spiral, their paranoid posts, their public breakdown, all without you saying a single word about them. That former friend who betrayed your trust? They monitored their guilt-driven self-destruction, their desperate attempts to apologize, their complete social isolation. You didn't touch them. You just existed. And they destroyed themselves, trying to process what they'd lost. The psychological profile they assembled on you reads like a classified weapons manual. Subject demonstrates advanced understanding of human behavioral patterns. Appears to have innate ability to identify psychological pressure points. Executes long-term strategic thinking with surgical precision. Emotional regulation score, off-standard charts. They've seen trained interrogators with less mental discipline than you displayed during your worst moments. You know what really got their attention? It wasn't the revenge itself. It was the patience, the way you waited. Collected information like ammunition, never reacted in anger, never showed your hand, just observed, documented, and when the time was right, you deployed truth like drone strikes. Targeted, devastating, untraceable back to you. They studied that coworker who tried to sabotage your promotion. You remember them, don't you? The one who spread lies, manipulated situations, tried to paint you as incompetent. You didn't file complaints. You didn't confront them. You just started leaving breadcrumbs, little truths here and there. And within 6 months they exposed themselves, their own lies tangled around their feet like snakes. The beautiful part? Everyone thought they self-destructed from guilt. Nobody suspected you orchestrated their downfall with the precision of a chess grandmaster. The federal agents assigned to your case started calling you the ghost, not because you disappeared, but because you haunted people's minds without trying. Your presence alone became psychological warfare. People who wronged you reported nightmares, anxiety attacks, the constant feeling of being watched. But you weren't watching them. They were watching themselves through the mirror you became. Here's what you don't know. Last month there was a heated debate in a secure facility about whether to approach you. One side argued you were too dangerous, too unpredictable. The other side, the ones who understand real power, they said something different. This is exactly the kind of mind we need. Someone who wins wars without firing shots. Someone who can destabilize entire networks with strategic truth deployment. They've been leaving signs, haven't they? Those random encounters with people asking oddly specific questions. That job offer that came out of nowhere from a company you never applied to. The stranger in the coffee shop who mentioned psychological operations and watched your reaction. They're not testing your skills anymore. They already know what you're capable of. They're testing whether you know what you're capable of. You see, the CIA doesn't recruit people who can fight. Any meathead can throw punches. They recruit people who can think in dimensions others don't know exist. People who understand that true power isn't about what you do. It's about what you make others do to themselves. And you? You've been running successful psyops since before you knew what the term meant. Remember when that group tried to ostracize you? Tried to turn everyone against you with their whisper campaign? You didn't defend yourself. You didn't argue. You just strategically revealed their own secrets to each other. Not directly. Never directly. Just little hints. Calculated questions. Oh, did Sarah tell you about? I thought everyone knew about Mike's. And then you watched their alliance eat itself alive from the inside. The CIA calls that information warfare. You call it Tuesday. What's fascinating is how you develop these skills without formal training. Every betrayal you survived was another lesson in human psychology. Every lie told about you taught you how deception operates. Every smear campaign showed you how to track narrative patterns. You didn't go to spy school. Life was your training ground, and pain was your instructor. The precision of your revenge is what caught their attention initially, but what kept them interested was your restraint. Lesser minds seek immediate gratification. They lash out, get messy, leave evidence. You plan campaigns that unfold over months, sometimes years. You understand that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served at exactly the right temperature to cause maximum psychological impact. They analyze that situation with your ex-business partner, the one who stole your ideas and tried to cut you out. You could have sued, could have gone public. Instead, you did something far more elegant. You let them succeed with your stolen ideas, knowing they didn't have your vision to execute properly. Then you quietly built something better, drew away their best talent with your superior leadership, and watched their empire crumble from incompetence. By the time they realized what happened, you were untouchable. The agent studying you noted something unusual in their reports. Subject appears to experience no satisfaction from revenge itself. Seems motivated purely by balance and justice. Shows signs of treating human psychology like a chess game where emotional involvement is a liability. That's when they knew you weren't just naturally gifted. You had evolved past normal human emotional responses. Your psychological warfare is so clean it's almost surgical. No digital footprints, no paper trails, no witnesses. Just people suddenly understanding consequences they never saw coming. You learned early that the messiest battles leave the most evidence. So you stopped fighting battles altogether. You started winning wars before anyone knew they had started. That former friend who tried to steal your romantic partner, you remember how that played out. You didn't confront anyone, didn't make scenes. You just made sure certain truths found their way to the surface. Their history of cheating, their financial problems, their real motivations. Not through gossip, through strategic placement of facts that others would discover naturally. Within 3 months they destroyed each other, and both came crawling back. But you had already moved on, because the victory was never about getting them back. It was about proving they were never worthy of you in the first place. The CIA has a term for what you do: cognitive infiltration. It's the ability to get inside someone's decision-making process and influence it without them knowing. Most agents need years of training to develop this skill. You do it instinctively. Every conversation is an intelligence-gathering operation. Every interaction is a chance to plant seeds that will grow into the exact outcomes you designed. They've calculated the success rate of your psychological operations. It's not perfect, nothing is. But it's high enough to be statistically impossible without conscious strategy. The way you've turned enemies into self-destructive shells. The way you've made betrayers betray themselves. The way you've haunted people's minds without ever acknowledging their existence. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's talent so pure it looks like magic to those who don't understand the science. What's most interesting is that the CIA doesn't question the ethics of what you do. They understand something most people don't. In a world of information warfare, the one who controls perception controls reality. And you've been controlling perception like a master painter working with invisible ink. Your enemies paint themselves into corners using brushes you handed them without them knowing. I could ask for a bit of cool-outer. Sardonies like, they've noticed your rules of engagement. You never target innocence, never cause collateral damage. Your operations are precisely targeted at those who struck first. It's not vengeance in the traditional sense. It's balance. It's making sure people experience the exact consequences of their actions, amplified by their own guilty consciences. The agency respects that. They see it as sign of operational discipline. Remember that supervisor who tried to gaslight you? Tried to make you question your own sanity with their manipulation? You documented everything. Not for HR, but for your own psychological counter-operation. Then you slowly, carefully, made them question their own reality. Scheduled meetings they didn't remember, emails they swore they never sent, projects that seemed to complete themselves. Within 6 months, they were checking themselves into therapy, convinced they were losing their mind. The irony was beautiful. The gaslighter extinguished by their own flame. The federal agents have a betting pool about you, not about whether you'll succeed. That's a given. They bet on how long it takes your targets to realize they've been psychologically outmaneuvered. The average is 6 months. 6 months from first contact to complete psychological capitulation. That's faster than most military psyops campaigns. And you do it without any resources except your mind. So here's what's going to happen next. They're going to approach you. Not directly at first. They'll send someone who seems random. Someone who speaks your language. Someone who drops certain phrases and watches your eyes. They'll mention things like strategic thinking and unconventional solutions and people with unique skill sets. They'll be testing whether you're ready to acknowledge what you've always known. You're not like the others. If you pass that initial contact, the real invitation comes. It won't look like what you expect. No men in black suits, no clandestine meetings in parking garages. It'll be subtle. A job offer from a consulting firm that doesn't quite exist. A scholarship to a program you didn't apply for. An opportunity that seems too perfectly tailored to your skills to be coincidence. Because it's not coincidence. It's recognition. They want to know if you can do consciously what you've been doing instinctively. If you can weaponize your psychological precision for something bigger than personal justice. If you can operate on a global scale with the same surgical accuracy you've shown in your personal life. They already know you can. The question is whether you know you can. The thing is, you don't need their training. You've already graduated from a harder school than Langley could ever create, the School of Betrayal, the Academy of Survival, the University of Human Darkness. You've got doctorate in psychological warfare from the College of Life's Cruelty. What they're offering isn't education, it's resources, it's scope. It's the chance to play the game you've mastered on a board that spans continents. Your mind is an unregistered weapon, and they know it. The way you process information, identify patterns, predict human behavior, it's not normal, it's not trained, it's evolved. You're what happens when someone gets broken so many times they rebuild themselves into something unbreakable. Not harder, smarter, more precise, more dangerous. You're well ready. They've tried to replicate what you do in laboratory settings. Trained agents to think like you think, to see the psychological pressure points you see instinctively. They fail every time, because what you have can't be taught in a classroom. It's forged in the fire of real betrayal, shaped by the hammer of real pain, cooled in the ice of real isolation. You're not a trained weapon. You're an evolved one. The precision of your revenge has made federal agents question everything they thought they knew about psychological operations. You don't use force. You use physics, the physics of human psychology. Every action creates an equal and opposite reaction, and you've learned to position yourself so that reaction destroys your enemies while leaving you untouched. Beautiful in its simplicity, devastating in its execution. That colleague who tried to steal credit for your work, you remember how that ended. You didn't argue about credit. You just made sure their next project was slightly beyond their capability. Offered to help, then withdrew support at critical moments. Watched them scramble, fail, expose their incompetence. Everyone saw the truth without you saying a word. The credit they stole became the rope they hung themselves with. The CIA calls that strategic positioning. You call it justice. You've earned recognition from the highest levels of psychological warfare, not because you sought it, but because excellence is impossible to hide. Your operations leave signatures that only trained eyes can see. The way situations resolve themselves too perfectly. The way your enemies consistently self-destruct. The way you remain untouched by chaos that consumes everyone who crosses you. It's not luck, it's mastery. They've assigned their best analysts to study your methods. People with PhDs in psychology, decades of field experience, access to the most sophisticated behavioral prediction models. And you know what conclusion they reached? Your methods can't be replicated, can't be taught, can't be programmed. You operate on instinct, sharpened by trauma, into something that cuts cleaner than any trained technique. The federal agents question your past because they can't believe someone developed these skills accidentally. They looked for military training, intelligence background, some explanation for your abilities. But your past is clean. No special forces, no spy training, just life. Just pain transformed into power. Just betrayal transformed into brilliance. And that scares them more than if you were trained, because it means you're natural, authentic, unstoppable. Remember when that group tried to sabotage your reputation online? The coordinated attack, fake accounts, manufactured evidence? You didn't fight back online. You fought back in reality. Found their real identities. Didn't expose them. That would be too simple. Instead, you made sure the right people accidentally discovered their activities. Employers, partners, parents. The online mob turned into real-world consequences, and you never typed a single response. That's the kind of warfare that makes federal agents take notice. So what happens now? Now you have a choice. Continue operating as a lone wolf, dispensing psychological justice to those foolish enough to cross you, or accept that your talents have been recognized by those who operate on a larger scale, those who understand that wars are won in minds before they're won on battlefields. Those who know that the most powerful weapon isn't a gun or a bomb. It's the ability to make your enemy defeat themselves. The CIA wants to recruit you because you represent evolution in human conflict. You don't destroy bodies. You reprogram minds. You don't break things. You make people break themselves. You don't leave evidence. You leave psychological ghosts that haunt your targets forever. And you do it all with such precision that even trained observers struggle to see your hand in the outcome. They're particularly interested in how you maintain emotional distance while executing psychological operations. Most people get messy when it's personal. They let anger cloud judgment, let hurt dictate strategy, not you. You treat revenge like mathematics. Calculate the exact pressure needed, apply it with surgical precision, then step back and watch the inevitable collapse. It's not cold, it's clean. And clean operations are what separate professionals from amateurs. Your psychological warfare is so clean it could be used in textbooks if they could figure out how you do it. But that's the beauty of evolution. It can't be reverse engineered. It can only be recognized and recruited. And make no mistake, you're being recruited, not for who you were, not for who you are, but for who you could become with the right resources and scope.
wasn't enough. Like he was too small, too weak to matter. They saw what you tried to be, saw the fire in your heart. And you know what they did? They crushed it. They spat on it like it was nothing. They wanted a monster, something darker, something twisted, something they could fear. Well then, you give them what they asked for. You think the world's soft. Nah, son. The world don't owe you a damn thing. Life's cruel. Life's cold. You think anyone out here is gonna feel sorry for you? Gonna cry tears over what you lost? Over how hard you worked? They'll forget your name before the sun sets. They'll laugh at your scars and call you weak before they turn around and pretend you never existed. So you want their respect. You want them to feel the fire they stoked inside you. Then you stop being the victim. You stop pleading for mercy. Mercy ain't ever saved anyone. Sure as hell ain't gonna save you. They see you as a beast? Good. Show them how right they were. Show them what a cornered animal does when it's got nowhere to run. You tear apart everything in your path. You take their hate, their doubt, their words like knives, and you sharpen them into weapons. You want power? It's there. It's in the pain they gave you. Every single lie they fed you. Every single time they turned their backs. That's where your strength lies. But let me tell you something, and listen close now, because this is where most people lose the thread. Don't just be a monster for them. Be a monster for you. You ain't here to prove nothing to nobody. You ain't got nothing to prove to this world that tried to bury you. Nah, this is about survival. This is about looking in the mirror and seeing the demon they created, and not being ashamed of it. You want to know why they hate monsters? It ain't because of the fangs, or the claws, or the fire in your eyes. It's because monsters don't care. Monsters do what they want. Monsters don't bend to rules. They don't play nice. They don't beg for scraps. And that's what scares them. They wanted you tamed. They wanted you broken. And here you are, standing on this mountain, refusing to be put down. You feel that? That cold, empty feeling deep inside. That's what's left when the world stripped away your softness. That's where your strength comes from. From nothing. And now you're here, looking at me asking for what? Permission? Validation? You ain't getting that from me, kid. You ain't getting no good job or a pat on the back. You want to stand at the top? Then you better be ready to fight for every damn inch. Ain't nobody else gonna climb this mountain for you. Look, life ain't a story. You ain't the hero in some fairy tale. Heroes get slaughtered. They get forgotten. Buried under the weight of their own righteousness. You want to be a hero? Go ahead and die for some cause nobody's gonna remember. But you want to live, right? You want to win. Then you gotta stop thinking like a hero. Start thinking like a monster. You burn down the forest. You salt the earth. You leave nothing behind for anyone to follow. You take what's yours, and you don't apologize for it. You become the thing they fear. You use their hate. You wear it like armor. You feel that pain. That's your fuel now. You feed on it. You let it push you forward when you're too tired to move. And when they come crawling back, begging for mercy, begging for forgiveness, you don't even look their way. 'Cause monsters don't forgive. Monsters don't forget. right here, in the ashes, in the blood, in the bones of everything they tried to break in you. You think this is some kind of game. You think you're just gonna walk back down this mountain after everything you've been through, and they're gonna welcome you with open arms? Nah, let me tell you how it's really gonna go. You're gonna go back down there, and they're gonna look at you like you've changed. And you know what? They're right. You have changed. You ain't the same person who started that climb, and that scares them. You know why they wanted you weak? Because weakness is easy. Weakness is controllable. But you're not weak anymore. You ain't the person they could push around. The one who would bow their head and keep quiet. That version of you, gone, buried, and now they don't know what to do with you. You know what the funny thing is? They asked for this. They wanted to see what you'd become when you hit your breaking point. They didn't think you'd survive it. They thought you'd crumble like they did. Thought you'd fade away. Just another forgotten face in a sea of failures. But you didn't, did you? Nah. You crawled up this mountain, bleeding, clawing, dragging yourself every step of the way. And now you stand at the top, looking down at them, and they can't handle it. You ever wonder why they hate strength so much? It's 'cause strength don't need permission. Strength don't wait for approval. You got it now. Real strength, not the fake kind they pretend to have. And they can't stand it. They see the power in your eyes, and it burns them. Makes them feel small. Makes them remember all the things they'll never be. But that's not your problem. You ain't here to make them feel better. You ain't here to soothe their egos or make them comfortable. You climbed this mountain for you. You fought every step of the way for you. And now, you've got a choice to make. You go back down there, show them what you've become, or you keep climbing, leave them in the dust, and never look back. You think they deserve to see this version of you? The version they tried so hard to destroy? Or do you show them what real destruction looks like? You tear down everything they ever knew, everything they ever thought about you, and you don't stop until there's nothing left. You want to know what it means to be a monster? It means you don't play by their rules anymore. You don't wait for them to tell you who you are. You decide who you are, and they either fall in line or they get out of your way. They wanted a monster? Then let them have it. Give them every ounce of the rage, the pain, the hunger you've been holding back. Let it loose. They thought they knew you. They thought they could predict your every move. But now they're looking at something they don't understand. And nothing terrifies them more than the unknown. The world don't need more heroes. Heroes die. Heroes get crushed under the weight of other people's expectations. But monsters live forever. They become legends. Stories people whisper about in fear. They don't fade away. They don't get forgotten. And right now, got the chance to become something more than they ever dreamed of. You ever heard the phrase, be careful what you wish for? They wanted to see how far they could push you. They wanted to see what you'd become when you finally snapped. And now, they're gonna find out. They thought they were building a monster to control. But they were wrong. You ain't controlled by nobody now. You're free. And that freedom, that's what makes you dangerous. They ain't ready for you. They ain't ready for the storm that's coming. That's their problem, not yours. You owe them nothing. Not your kindness, not your forgiveness, not even your attention. You walk down there, and you take what's yours. You rip it from their hands if you have to. And if they try to stand in your way, well, you show them just how real monsters can be. But here's the thing you gotta understand. Being a monster, it ain't about being cruel for the sake of it. It ain't about mindless rage, number. It's about focus. It's about knowing exactly who you are, exactly what you want, and doing whatever it takes to get it. It's about clarity, about purpose. Monsters ain't chaotic. They're calculated. They see the world for what it is, a battlefield. And on that battlefield, you don't win by playing fair. You win by doing whatever it takes to survive, to thrive. And you're a survivor. Don't ever forget that. They wanted to break you, but here you are, standing taller than ever. And now, it's time to make your move. Time to stop hiding, stop waiting, stop hoping for a better day. You take that better day, and you make it yours. You wanted to know what it means to be a monster? This is it. You stop letting them define you. You stop letting them control you. And you take back everything they tried to steal. You think they're gonna respect you for it? Number. They'll fear you. And that's better. Because respect fades. Fear sticks. Fear keeps them in check. Fear makes sure they never forget your name. You feel that cold in your chest? That's not weakness. That's your edge. That's what sets you apart. Use it. Wield it like a weapon. And never let them see you hesitate. Monsters don't flinch. Monsters don't second guess. They move forward, unstoppable, relentless. And you're just getting started. You're not even close to understanding what you've stepped into, are you? Standing here, you think it's just about fighting through, about surviving. But I told you, it's deeper than that. It's darker than that. You ain't climbing this mountain just to say you did it. Nah, you're climbing it because something inside you, something real, snapped. You lost your faith in this world. You stopped believing in second chances. You realized they don't exist for people like you, didn't you? They don't hand out mercy. Not to the broken. Not to the ones who've already been kicked down and left for dead. They wanted a monster. You've heard it your whole life, haven't you? They wanted to see what would happen if they pushed you just a little further. If they stripped away the last bit of hope you had. And when you snapped, they called you the villain. That's how they play it, right? They poke and prod until you can't take it no more. And then when you finally lose it, they act all surprised, like they didn't create the thing standing in front of them. But here's the truth, and you better listen close because I'm only saying this once. They don't hate the monster they've made. They hate that they can't control it. That's why they're scared of you now. You stopped being predictable. You stopped being the person they could toy with, manipulate, use for their own gain. You stopped playing their game. And once you did that, you became dangerous. Let me ask you something. When you look at yourself, really look at yourself, what do you see? Do you still see that person who cared about what they thought? That person who worried about fitting in, about being accepted? Nah. That person's long gone. What's left? That's the monster they made. And let me tell you something else about monsters. They don't owe nobody nothing. They don't bend, they don't beg, and they sure as hell don't break just because someone else says they should. You understand what I'm saying? They wanted to see what would happen if you reached your limit. Well, guess what? You are the limit. You're the thing they can't measure, can't contain. You're the thing they fear, but don't understand. You ever wonder why people hate monsters so much? It ain't because of what monsters do. It's because monsters don't hide who they are. They're real. They're raw. They ain't putting on some mask, pretending to be something they're not. Monsters are honest, brutally honest. And people, they hate honesty. They hate seeing what they could be if they stopped pretending. And that's what you've become. A reflection of everything they're too scared to face. You're standing at the edge now. You can go back, crawl down this mountain, pretend you're still one of them, try to fit back into that broken mold they made for you. Or you can step forward and embrace what you've become. Embrace the fact that you'll never fit in. Because you ain't meant to. You weren't built for their world. You were built for something greater. Something harder. You think monsters are born. Nah. They're made. They're forged in fire, in suffering, in the darkness that most people run from. And when you stop running from it, when you face it head on, that's when you realize you ain't like them anymore. You've been through things they can't even imagine, and you survived. No, you thrived. You grew stronger. And now you're something else entirely. But here's the thing. You can't just be a monster. You gotta own it. You gotta own every scar, every wound, every drop of blood you shed on this climb. You gotta wear it like a badge, like armor, 'cause that's what it is. It's your shield against the world that tried to tear you apart. And every time they look at you, they're gonna see that armor, and it's gonna remind them of what they did. It's gonna remind them that they failed. And you don't let them forget. You don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you back down, of seeing you doubt yourself. You walk into their world, and you own every inch of it. You make them uncomfortable. You make them scared. And when they ask why, you tell them, because you asked for this. You wanted to see what I would become when you pushed me too far. Now you get to live with it. But don't mistake what I'm saying. This ain't about revenge. This ain't about getting even. That's small-time thinking. Monsters don't waste their time on petty paybacks. Monsters look at the bigger picture. You're not here to hurt them. You're here to make sure they never forget that they can't break you. That no matter what they do, you'll rise. You'll climb. You'll take what's yours. They think they can chain you to their rules, to their expectations. You burn those chains to ash. You rise above their limitations, their small minds, their narrow views. You are beyond them now. You don't need their approval, their acceptance, their validation. You've got your own strength, your own power, and that's all you'll ever need. You ever wonder why people tell you to calm down, to take it easy, to be reasonable? It's because they see what you're capable of, and it terrifies them. They see that fire in your eyes, and they know that if you ever fully unleashed it, they'd be powerless to stop you. That's why they try to cage you, to control you. But here's the truth. Cages are for the weak, for the ones who are afraid to face the world as it is. You were never meant for a cage. You were meant to tear them down. So you want to know what comes next. You go back down that mountain, and you don't just survive. You dominate. You take everything they said you couldn't have. You become everything they said you'd never be. And when they try to drag you down, you don't fight them. You rise so high above them that they can't even reach you. And if they still want a monster, you give them one. You give them the kind of monster that doesn't bend, doesn't break, and sure as hell doesn't bow to anyone. You become the thing they feared all along, and you don't apologize for it. You think you know who you are now, don't you? But this is just the beginning. You're standing on the edge of something greater than you could ever imagine. But to step into it, you gotta let go of everything that's holding you back. You gotta shed the last bit of that person you used to be. You gotta embrace the monster fully. The people down there, they don't deserve the version of you that's still holding on to hope, still holding on to the idea that they'll change. They won't. They'll never understand you, never accept you, and that's okay. You don't need them. You don't need anyone but yourself. They wanted a monster? Then you show them what it means to be untamed, unstoppable, and unbreakable. You show them that the thing they created is more powerful than they ever imagined. You become the nightmare that haunts them, the force they can't control. And when it's all said and done, you'll stand at the top of the mountain, looking down at the world that tried to break you, and surviving anymore. You're ruling.
Funny, huh? The world moves on, the clocks tick, and people pretend like nothing happened, like the ones who broke you just vanished into thin air, like your pain didn't leave a crater where your soul used to be. You ever just sit in a dark room and feel like the darkness is the only thing that truly understands you? No fake smiles, no false hope, just raw, bitter silence. That's the thing about being broken once. It leaves a scar, not a wound. Wounds heal, kid. Scars, they whisper forever. And tonight I'm here to remind you of something very simple. They broke you once, but never again. You see, people have this filthy habit of underestimating silence. They think if you ain't screaming, if you ain't fighting back, if you ain't bleeding out loud, then you're weak. But silence is dangerous. It's where monsters are born, forged and sharpened. That's where you live now, right? That quiet corner of the world where no one sees what you're holding inside. They call it peace. I call it survival. Because when the storm ripped you open, they all watched, didn't they? Some even smiled. And you still believed in them. You still held on. Naive, but beautiful. I respect that. It takes guts to still care after they crush you. But let me tell you a little secret, sweetheart. Caring doesn't keep you alive. Cold does. No me sian.
They didn't just hurt you. Oh no. They dissected your trust with a grin. They picked apart your kindness like it was weakness. And you stood there, shaking but standing, crying but quiet. You thought they'd come back and fix what they broke, but no one comes back to clean the mess they made in someone else's soul. They move on, lighthearted, like you were just a side quest in their little game. And you carry the rubble, the echoes, the memories you can't unsee. You ever tried to sleep with a memory screaming in your head like a siren? It's a nightmare that never ends, kid. But here's the twist. You survive. You know, most people crumble once, and that's it. Game over. They break and stay broken. But not you. You're still here. Breathing, bleeding maybe, but still standing. And that makes you terrifying. See, you're no longer the person who got hurt. You're the one who learned from pain, and pain's a damn good teacher. It doesn't lie. It doesn't fake. It shows you the truth you refused to see. You trusted the wrong ones. You gave chances like candy, and they chewed through your loyalty like it was disposable. But here's the truth. It's not your fault you cared. It's their curse that they didn't. You know what's poetic? They thought breaking you would make you quiet, but it made you smarter, colder, stronger. They thought you'd chase, that you'd beg, that you'd stay small. But now you are the storm. You ain't the same soft soul who waited for apologies that never came. You are the silence that terrifies them. You're the proof that people can burn and rise from their own ashes without begging for water. Don't you dare forget who you've become. Don't you ever let them trick you into thinking your softness was stupidity. No. It was proof that even angels can walk through hell and not lose their wings. They broke you once. So what? Everyone breaks. But you rebuilt with stone. You rebuilt with fire in your ribs and steel in your eyes. You don't need revenge. You are the revenge, because nothing hurts them more than seeing you walk past them like they never mattered. That's power. Real power. Not noise. Not shouting. Just detachment. You don't care anymore. And that's your shield. When they can no longer affect your mood, your peace, your silence, they lose. And deep down, they know it. Keep walking, kid. And keep that silence sharp. Because now they watch from afar, wondering how you're still breathing when they buried you with their betrayal. They don't understand that pain is a builder. You didn't heal, you transformed. And that's what makes you unbreakable now. They broke you once, never again. I remember the night like it was yesterday. The sky didn't look right. You ever look up and feel like even the stars are turning their backs on you? Like everything that's supposed to be constant just disappears. I was sitting there, not talking, not thinking, just feeling. And you know what I felt? Nothing. Not the cold on my skin, not the ache in my chest, not even the damn weight of everything I gave up for people who vanished the moment I fell. Oh, they love you when you're high, kid. But when you crash, When your hands tremble and your heart begs for one reason to stay, that's when the crowd gets quiet. That's when the masks fall off. That's when you see what's real and who's not. Let me tell you something real dark, real raw. You were broken once. I saw it. And it wasn't some dramatic fall with music and screaming. It was quiet. That silent kind of breaking. The kind where you still smile in public, still laugh at the right jokes, but inside, you're dead. They shattered you in silence, and the worst part, you let them. You give them love, loyalty, honesty, all those heavy things, and they carried it like it was disposable. You handed over gold and they sold it for scraps. Now you're here, angry, lost, confused, and telling yourself you're fine, but you ain't. And that's okay, 'cause broken ain't the end, it's the start. You think I became this because life handed me flowers and promises? Nah. I got handed fire and silence. I learned to love the sound of doors closing and people disappearing. I stopped expecting apologies. I stopped explaining my worth. I started watching, studying. 'Cause when they break you once, they expect you to stay there, on your knees, begging for their presence like a starving dog. But let me ask you this. Why beg someone to stay when they had no shame walking away? Why keep giving when all they do is take? You want to know what real strength is? It's not smiling when you're hurting. It's not pretending everything's fine. Real strength is choosing not to go back. They'll come back, eventually. Oh, they always do. When you start moving in silence, building in darkness, when the glow up ain't flashy but dangerous, they'll hear about you. Whispers in the hallways, rumors in the streets. You remember him? Did you see her now? And they'll watch from a distance, jealous, regretful. And don't you dare turn around. You owe them nothing, not even your attention. They broke you once, never again. That's the rule now. That's your law. Let me break this down for you logically, yeah? Let's say pain is a currency. You gave yours away for free. Every tear, every sleepless night, every unanswered message, that's value, kid. And they wasted it. So now, you charge for it. You guard it. Your energy, priceless. Your time, selective. Your love, earned, not handed out like a flyer in the wind. People treat you how you let them. You teach them how to walk over you when you stay quiet after disrespect. You taught them you'd forgive anything. You taught them you'd always be there. So they stopped trying. You stopped existing in their mind as a person. You became a resource, a pit stop, a therapist, a punching bag. But not anymore. That chapter, it's gone. Burn it. Write the new one in fire and silence. Be the one who says less and builds more. They call you heartless, so what? They said you changed, good. They miss the old you, of course they do. He was easy to use. That old version of you, he bled for people who wouldn't even spit water if you were burning. That version of you died in silence. Now this version, this one doesn't beg, doesn't explain, doesn't need a crowd. He becomes the storm. I know it hurts. I know some nights the silence is so loud it feels like it's screaming at you. You replay every word, every lie, every fake promise, and you want closure, but closure ain't real. You close it yourself. You bury what hurt you, not with hate, but with indifference. They don't deserve a piece of your mind. They don't get to know what it did to you. That's your power now. They don't know you anymore. You outgrew them. You evolved in the fire they left you to burn in. You built armor from ashes. And here's the irony. People fear what they can't predict. You were predictable. You'd always be there, always care, always answer, always forgive. But now, you're gone. And they hate that. They hate the silence, the unbothered version of you. The man who doesn't flinch, doesn't explain, doesn't care what they think. That version's a ghost in their guilt. They remember you, and it hurts. Let it. They earned that pain. Shh. But you move. You grow. Quietly. Ruthlessly. With every move calculated. Every word measured. You don't react. You observe. And when it's time, you rise. Not to show off, but to remind them they broke you once. Never again. I watch you fall, you know. Not from the top, but from somewhere deeper, somewhere darker. You didn't scream, you didn't beg, you didn't even flinch. Just silence. Like the soul had already accepted the funeral before the body ever hit the floor. Funny how the world works, right? They pat you on the back while they shove the knife deeper. They call it love, but it feels like slow poison. They broke you once, but never again. Not if you finally decide to stop handing out pieces of yourself like free samples to people who only want a taste of your weakness. See, the thing about pain is, it doesn't always knock on the door. It kicks it in and takes a seat at your dinner table, like it owns the place. And you keep feeding it. You dress it up as loyalty, as kindness, as understanding. But listen to me real close now. None of those things mean a damn thing to people who already made up their mind about using you. You gave them warmth, and they turned it into firewood to keep themselves cozy while you froze. You gave them a second chance, and they turned it into a second weapon. You were too soft in a world that survives on teeth and silence. You know what your biggest mistake was? Not loving, not trusting. No, it was believing that your loyalty would make them see your worth. That if you bled enough for them, they'd stop stabbing. What a joke. You were never the problem. Their hunger was, their emptiness, their little games of validation. They needed someone to destroy to feel powerful. And you walked in with an open heart and no armor. But it's over now. That version of you, the one who kept saying it's okay with blood dripping from your chest, is dead. And thank God. Let me tell you something cold, something real. They didn't break you because you were weak. They broke you because you were too strong, too bright, too pure for their filthy hands to handle. They needed to drag you down to their level just to feel like they weren't drowning alone. You became a mirror to their guilt. And you mistook it for love. But the truth? Real love doesn't drain. It builds. Real respect doesn't need explanations or reminders. And if you have to beg for it, then you're in the wrong room, sweetheart. Normal. Ayla, you ever notice how quiet it got when you disappeared? How all that noise, all those demands, all that drama suddenly vanished the moment you stepped back? That's not coincidence. That's exposure. You were the light, and once it left, they all sat in the dark, trying to figure out why nothing feels right anymore. Because you were the soul of it all, the heart, the one who carried them while they kept cutting your legs off. And now you're done. And that silence, it's loud for them now, isn't it? Don't you dare go back. Don't you dare try to fix what you didn't break. Don't play savior to the ones who loved you only when it was convenient. This world, this rotten, selfish, two-faced world only respects the ones who stop explaining themselves and start disappearing quietly. It fears the ones who rise from ashes without a word because it knows those are the ones who won't burn again. You hear that? That ticking? That's not a bomb. That's your time, your silence, your revenge. And it doesn't need to explode. It just needs to keep walking, keep building, keep proving. You owe them nothing, not even a damn goodbye. Because you're not broken anymore. You're rebuilt. And rebuilt people? Oh, they don't shake, they don't ask, they don't beg. They walk, quiet, focused, unreachable. And that's what kills them more than anything. They can't reach you anymore. They can't affect what no longer reacts. So stay cold, stay distant, stay powerful. Let them feel the weight of your absence. Let them lie in the bed they made, suffocating on the silence they forced you into. Because the new you, the one who rose, he doesn't bleed for unworthy people anymore. He doesn't kneel. He watches. Calculation. And when the time comes, he doesn't speak. He just wins. And they'll see it. Oh, they'll see it. Not through words, not through tears, but through the empire you build in the dark, brick by damn brick, without a single apology. I remember the silence. Not the peaceful kind, the one that creeps into your bones and wraps itself around your soul like a snake. The kind that follows after betrayal, after the last door slams, after the last "I'm here for you" turns into echoes behind your back. Funny, isn't it? You give your all and they take it like it was owed. You open up your chest, hand over your beating heart, and they crush it like it was some cheap toy from a vending machine. And you're still standing there, bleeding, watching, waiting. For what? An apology, a return, a miracle? Let me break that dream for you. Miracles don't come for people like us. You want truth? Here's one. They broke you once, never again. You see, the thing about pain, real pain, it leaves marks. Not the kind anyone else sees. Nah, these are the deep ones, the invisible scars, the permanent ones, the kind that change your walk, change your laugh, change the way you look at people. And they don't fade, kid. They grow roots. Every time you trusted someone who didn't deserve it, every time you forgave what should have been punished, every time you stayed when you should have walked, those scars, they multiplied. You became a museum of your own kindness, filled with exhibits of people who never deserved a place in your heart to begin with. They studied you, not to love you, but to find the cracks. And when they found them, they dug deeper. Let me teach you something they won't tell you in fairy tales. Not everyone who touches your wounds wants to heal them. Some just want to see if you'll bleed again. Pathetic, right? But real. That's the world you live in. A world where your softness is seen as weakness, where your loyalty is currency for cowards, where your silence is mistaken for submission. But not anymore. Not this time. You hear me? You don't crawl back to the fire that burned you. You become the fire. You become the lesson they never thought they'd learn. Because let me tell you what happens when a broken man stops asking for help. He becomes dangerous. Not because he seeks revenge, but because he learns not to depend. He walks different, talks different, eyes like steel, heart like stone. And not out of hate, but out of survival. Because love without boundaries is suicide, and trust without caution is a loaded gun pointed at your own chest. You've been there. I know you have. I can see it in your eyes. The way they flicker when someone mentions forever. That word. It's become a joke, hasn't it? People say it like it means something, but you learn that forever is just a delay before a bad. You see, they thought you'd never leave. They fed off that. They drank from your soul like it was some endless river. And when you started to dry up, when your light started to dim, they didn't ask if you were okay. They walked, just like that. No guilt, no shame, just footprints leading away from the wreckage they left. And you still stood there, ashes in your hands, a smile on your face, pretending the fire didn't touch you. But I saw you. I see you. And I know what you've become. You become the one they fear now. Not because you're cruel, but because you've stopped needing their approval. That's the shift. That's the power. When the man who was once desperate to be understood finally understands himself, he becomes unstoppable. He walks into rooms and doesn't beg to be seen. He lets his silence do the talking. He lets his absence teach the lesson. He doesn't chase. He disappears. And when they notice he's gone, it's already too late. But don't confuse this with bitterness. No. This is clarity. This is rebirth. You didn't die back there. You transformed. They didn't destroy you. They built the monster they now whisper about in regret. and you owe them nothing, not even your story. Because people who made you question your worth don't deserve a front row seat to your glow up. Let them sit in the cheap seats and wonder how they lost you. Let them choke on silence. So go ahead. Burn the old script. Tear down the version of you that bent over backwards, just to keep people who never even learned how to stand beside you. Rewrite everything. Not for revenge, but for evolution. You don't rise to show them. They're not worth the stage. You rise for you. For the kid in you that cried behind closed doors. For the version of you that waited for a text that never came. For the man who kept forgiving, hoping, staying, when he should have let go. They broke you once. Never again. Never. I remember the night they broke you. You were sitting there, quiet, shattered, not even blinking. Like the weight of the whole damn world decided to sit right on your chest and laugh. And oh, they laughed, didn't they? They laughed like you were the punchline to a joke they didn't even write. The kind of laughter that cuts deeper than any knife. The kind of laughter that stays echoing in your skull when the room's already gone silent. But you didn't scream. You didn't beg. You just sat there, swallowed it, took it all. And you know what? That silence, that stillness, that was louder than anything you could have said. Because broken men who stay silent, they're the ones people should fear the most. You see, most people, they get a taste of betrayal and they collapse. They get lied to, used, tossed like trash, and they melt, but you didn't. You cracked, yeah, but you didn't shatter. You bled inside, quietly. That kind of pain, the one that doesn't make noise, it builds something else, something darker, something sharp. Because when someone breaks you, really breaks you the first time, it ain't just pain, it's education. Brutal education. You start learning faces, you start learning tones, you start recognizing manipulation in a smile and lies in an embrace. Pain's the finest damn teacher this ugly world ever made. They thought you'd stay broken, didn't they? That's the joke. That's the irony. They thought the version of you that loved them, trusted them, gave without expecting was permanent. Like you'd never flip the script. Like you'd never grow teeth, but look at you now. Breathing, existing, watching, planning. Not for revenge, no, that's too easy. Too predictable. You're not looking to destroy them. You're learning to destroy the version of yourself that allowed them to break you in the first place. That's where the power is. Not in yelling, not in violence, nah. It's in the coldness you build after the fall. It's in walking past them like they never mattered, like their betrayal was a favor, like their absence improved the air around you. You start showing up without explaining. You start winning without announcing. That's what really crushes them. Silence is lethal. And when they realize you ain't reacting anymore, that's when they panic. That's when they realize the game's over and they lost the only real one who ever gave a damn. But don't you forget, they didn't break you because you were weak. No, they broke you because you were strong. Strong enough to carry what they couldn't. Strong enough to see the good in people that didn't even see it in themselves. Strong enough to love fully in a world that treats love like a liability. They broke you because they saw light in you that made them feel like shadows, and they couldn't handle it. So they tried to dim it, and when that didn't work, they tried to destroy it. But you survived. And here's the catch. They're not coming back for you. No, they're coming back for access. Access to the version of you they didn't appreciate. Access to the benefits without the responsibility. They'll wrap it in apologies and tears and I miss yous, but you'll see through it. Because pain rewired your instincts. You don't hear words anymore. You hear patterns. And that, my friend, is your armor now. That's your protection. Not walls, not bitterness, just wisdom. Wisdom soaked in scars. So now, you walk differently. You think sharper. You speak less. You observe more. And every time they try to provoke you into being the old version of yourself, the one they could manipulate, you smile. Not because it's funny, but because you know they'll never meet that version again. He died the day they broke you. And what rose from the ashes is no longer breakable. The funny part, the part no one tells you, is that the moment they think they've destroyed you is the same moment they unknowingly freed you. Freed you from illusion, from fantasy, from the prison of hope. Now you see people clearly. No more romanticizing broken promises, no more making excuses for red flags. You see the truth. And once you see it, you never unsee it. That's the curse. And the blessing. They broke you once. Never again.